We're back out here at the Big Lake once again, and today we're talking about what may be one of the most overlooked and underappreciated aspects for winter bass fishing, yet it is so vital and crucial to your success. Stick around, you don't want to miss this one. Oh, there we go, I got him. Oh, that one feels good. That one feels good. It is good. Oh, that's a good fish, kids. And here is this video's featured comment. Congratulations! If you would like to have a chance to have your comment featured in an upcoming video, all you've got to do is leave a comment. And now, on with the video. Welcome back to Lowbrow Fishing. You know, it's been a pretty rough winter on the water so far. A lot of days, it's just a real grind, isn't it? We go out there and we cast and we cast and we search. And a lot of times, those bass are just not taking what we have to offer. And, well, we can discuss lures all we want to, the different types, the different styles, and we've been doing that. But there is one vital aspect, one crucial key that often gets overlooked in the mix, and that is lure color. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, lowbrow, match the hatch. It's as simple as that, but it is not. We're going to talk about why, okay? And I'm going to give you an example of something that happened to me today to solidify and reiterate that point. And, you know, in the wintertime, that water gets cold. And when it gets cold, it gets clear. And again, you say, well, match the hatch. But a lot of times, that's not really what I'm looking to do, because I don't go with a lot of rattles. I don't go with a lot of noise in the wintertime. I'm being more subdued on my bait choices. So what am I doing with my colors? Well, that's where I'm standing out. And I'm using something like, you know, this chartreuse little spinnerbait right here. Obviously, I've gone down in size. I've gone down in, you know, to the fact that I'm only using one little Colorado blade. But you see, this is a very loud spinnerbait. And even on a day when it's sunny outside and that water's clear, I may throw something like this because I am trying to be more subtle with my noise and with the flash. But with the color, that's where I'm going to try to stand out, because in the wintertime, those bass are lethargic and their vision is what we're going to use to attract them. We don't want to overstimulate their lateral lines with a bunch of vibration and a bunch of noise, but we can attract them with the right color cues. Now, does that mean go noisy? Does that mean go loud all the time? No. Sometimes it is really smart to match the hatch. You know, a lot of times I'll go with something like this white soft plastic jerkbait. White stands out under the water. It almost glows at times, but it can be a very natural type of color. You know, there are plenty of fish in the water that are this color: minnows, shad, shiners. So this can be an effective color in the wintertime because of how well it stands out and how much it actually resembles the, you know, the bait fish those bass are feeding on. Another color that I go for is, you know, a clear or a glacier or ice type of color, because believe it or not, this also stands out well under the water. And again, that water's cold, that water's clear, you know, and I just put just a little bit of chartreuse on the tail, just a little tiny, you know, on the tip, and that helps it stand out even more whenever that tail is kicking under the water. Just a little bit added, you know, a little bit added attraction that those bass can key on. And in the wintertime, we need all of the attracting power that we can have, right? You know, sometimes I'll pair up that odd spinnerbait with like this dark trailer here. This is the same type of, you know, Rage Menace grub, but rather than being that ice color, that glacier color, this is that really dark color. And granted, you know, that skirt does not match this trailer, but it's a very striking visual contrast, and it gives those bass something different to key off on. Now, if I'm fishing something like this, like, you know, the Yo-Zuri jerkbait, you see this right here? This is a very natural color, isn't it? This is you know, a threadfin shad, a gizzard shad. It resembles all of those things, and it does it very well, you know. And sometimes I might want to change that up to the cat turd. And you guys know that cat turd is ugly. It doesn't resemble anything, but it stands out in the water. It's got that really hard, sharp contrast. And a lot of times that's exactly what those bass are keying off on. I've got something like this that I was using today, right? The good old lowbrow rig. A regular old Hack Attack swim jig that I've taken the skirt off of. And I've got a 3.5 or 3.25 Rage swimmer on this, you know, and this is your typical color. It's got the, you know, your shad. I think this is a smoking shad color. I think that's what that's called. But it's a very natural color. And in the wintertime, that cold water, that's going to come out very easily. If I can get it in front of a bass's face, chances are I can get a strike. But as we were just talking about, sometimes, well, sometimes there are exceptions to that rule. Sometimes you want to be as loud as you can, color-wise. You want to really have something that's sharp and contrasting and give that bass a reason to strike your bait over something else. And let me tell you about an instance that happened just today. Actually, it happened just a little while ago. See, as I was putting the little boat on the back of the truck after another day on the water, well, I'm getting ready to record. I find me a nice secluded spot right in front of the water. And what do I see? Well, I see bass busting everywhere, rolling back and forth. They're busting on bait. They're swirling everywhere. And I'm thinking, you know what? I've got to make just a few casts. Well, it's right near the bank. It was right up against the shore. So there's not really any way I'm going to be able to use my favorite tool, which is a hard plastic jerkbait. Normally, I see bass busting like that off out deeper in the water. I'm taking a hard plastic jerkbait and I'm going to throw it out there. And a lot of times I can catch a fish, you know. But this time, well, I opted for a soft plastic jerkbait. I figured with it being that close to the shore, the lake being on drawdown, and granted, I am on foot. I am on the bank when I see this. So I walk down there as quietly as I can because these bass are right up against the bank, you know, and they're rolling and broiling everywhere. You can see this. You can see that it's happening all over in front of me and it's irresistible. So what do? Well, I take a fluke just like this, a regular old white soft plastic jerkbait. I tie it on and I go to work. And I was able to get, well, a couple of small fish, little pound here, pound and a half here, you know, and I was thinking to myself, I can do better than this. I can do so much better than this. As I'm watching those bass bust up, I can see as they come up out of the water, there are some really nice bass in there. There are some really 2-3 pound bass in there. And that little white fluke just isn't getting it. They're busting on bait fish. I've got a natural presentation. What can I do? What can I do to make it different? Well, I changed out from that to this watermelon red caffeine shad. Still essentially the same presentation, is it? You know, it's a soft plastic jerkbait, but about the only thing that I've changed up on that is the color, you know. I went for a more contrasting color compared to what those bass were busting on. They were going after shad, they were going after shiner, which tend to be white, silver, whatever. And here I am going in there with a watermelon red soft plastic jerkbait. And you know what? That was the ticket. I ended up catching one of the nicest bass I've caught so far this winter. All right. Oh, there we go. I got him. Oh, that one feels good. That one feels good. It is good. Oh, that's a good fish, kids. Oh, that's a nice fish. Oh, where you going, Bob? Oh, that's a good fish. Look at the size of this toad. Oh, yeah, buddy. Look at the size of that fish. dialing it in, finding that spot, and finally getting the payoff with a 2.5 pound bass right there. So that's exactly what I'm talking about whenever I'm saying, sometimes you've got to go against the grain a little bit. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to look unnatural. Granted, that watermelon red flake, it was a natural looking, a soft plastic jerkbait compared to what I was already using, but it stood out because while everything else was white and silver and moving around the water, that dark green looked like a bluegill or a shellcracker or something coming across, and it drew those bigger bass attention, which is what I was trying to do. And that's exactly the point that I'm trying to get to. Sometimes you have to go against the grain. Sometimes you have to do things just a little bit different. Remember, vision is our primary means of attracting those fish in the wintertime. We're not using noise, we're not using rattle. Most of the time, those sorts of things can be very off-putting to a bass, especially in large amounts. But if we can dial in that vision, now more than ever, all through the year, is the color of your bait more important. And you play with it just a little bit. Like I said, if you're not getting hit on white, maybe go to a green. If you're not getting hit on green, well, maybe go to a black blue flake. And if that doesn't work, something striking like a chartreuse or a pink. Don't go crazy with it. Think of hues and not colors. You don't need every single color under the sun, but you can go natural and then a different type of natural and then start to branch out from there. And I'm telling you, you will have quite a bit more success on the water when you think of it in those terms. Whenever you use the fish's vision, in that cold, clear water, whenever you use that to start attracting them rather than noise, rather than commotion, because you can be more subtle with it, even with a presentation that's got a lot more color, a lot more off-putting color. Remember, bass are curious, and you can use that to your advantage. And today, well, once I dialed in exactly what those bass were looking for, exactly the type of color that they were after, well, it put me on one of the nicest bass that I've caught so far this winter. So there you have it. In the cold, clear water of the wintertime, instead of using flash or rattles or vibration to try to attract those bass, try changing up your colors, sometimes going a little bit more radical than you ordinarily would. You might be surprised at just how effective such a change can actually be. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.